Let's take a few breaths together. If you would, exhale it all out first. And take a deep breath in. And let it go. Another deep breath. Letting go. And one more deep breath in. And letting it go. And so good morning again, beloved community. It's so good to be here in our new space at the Resource Center for Nonviolence. Hello. If you don't know me, my name is Reverend Elisha Christopher. I'm the spiritual director here at this Center for Spiritual Living. I do use they and them pronouns, and my ancestors came to this country from Ireland, Scotland, Austria, and Holland, really from all over the world, and some indigenous to this country, but we immigrated from those countries. Well, I've been gone for a couple weeks. As you've probably heard by now, Jason and I got married on the 14th, which just so happened to be No King's Day. On our way up, we stopped in San Francisco, and there was a big poster that said, "Queer joy is resistance." So we decided our wedding was our protest, and a fabulous protest it was. And a lot has happened. For all of us, for our nation, for the world, a lot has happened in the last few weeks. And it's a lot to take in, friends. We are living through a very difficult and scary moment. And, as I've said many times, I really feel that we are living through this powerful, potent moment of transformation. And I often say that what we are living through is the proving time, where we are being proven, it's being proven to us what we believe. It's being revealed to us what's been living underneath the surface of the collective consciousness of this nation. Everything is rising up to be seen, right? And one of the things that we know is that consciousness creates, that consciousness is creative. That's like the number one principle after God is all there is that consciousness is creative, that our thoughts become things, that our focus manifests in front of us. And this is an important thing for us to remember, especially in these particular moments that we are wandering through, to remember that where we place our attention, that what we focus on, that what we give our energy to, we feed, right? And I'm going to tell you that the current regime in Washington, D.C., knows how to capture our attention. They understand this principle wholly and completely, that if they can hold the collective focus by all of these absurdities, by all of these things that are rising up, if they can hold our attention, then that attention will create what it's being focused on, right? Which is problematic because it's really easy to stare at the train wreck. Right? It's really easy to be captivated by the fear, by all the things that are coming up. They want our attention. It feeds them. But the thing that I know is that consciousness is creative, that consciousness is powerful, and that what have I said before is that everything that rises up, everything that comes our way, comes not to us, but for us. Right? Every single thing that happens is our invitation. It is our opportunity. And so I look out at our nation and at our world and in our communities, and I realize there's a great big opportunity in front of all of us right now. And I'm excited and delighted to say that on June 14th, on the No King's Day protests, 12 million people around this nation came out and said, we stand for justice, we stand for inclusion, we stand for freedom, we stand for a vision of a nation that works, that supports its people, right? And some of the media might say there was 5 million people or 7 million people. No, 12 million people showed up, right? And there's this beautiful little rule when it comes to shifting regimes and taking down oppressive powers, is that any time, this is historically true, any time 3.5% of the population takes to the streets and engages in active, consistent protest, no oppressive regime has survived that wave, that shift of collective consciousness, right? So here's the thing. We hit that 3.5% on June 14th. 12 million, we have 350 million people in this country-ish. 12 million people is 3.5% just about. So we hit it. We hit that critical mass for collective consciousness to cause a shift. But we have to sustain it. We have to maintain the movement. We have to keep the energy going. So we've called in this new energy. We've called in this wave of collective consciousness. We feel like it's a protest and it's a no to what's happening, but we can also claim that this is our great yes for the vision of the nation that we want to be, the kind of people that we want to be, the kind of government that we want to create. And it's disturbing and it's terrifying, and it's also beautiful at the same time, because there are so many things in this world and in this nation that did not work before. And you've heard me talk about Dr. King's idea of negative and positive peace, right? Where we have been living, many of us, in a world that wasn't working, but with the apparent absence of conflict, so it kept us comfortable. Well, now we are in a disturbance. Nobody's comfortable. And that's when the universe invites us to move. Spirit gives us the nudge until we move far enough. And I'm going to tell you that 3.5% is just the tip of the iceberg. That what we see at the level of effect, what we see in the world, is always only the tip of the iceberg. And so if 3.5% of the population is showing up, getting to the streets, and saying no, saying yes to the vision, saying no to the oppression, that means there's an entire iceberg of people underneath it who are also there, but maybe not in the streets, but who are supporting that movement. Right? On the day of our wedding, we were at our wedding venue while the marches were happening. There was a labyrinth on the property. We took the morning, and everyone who wanted to march went down to the labyrinth, and we marched anyways, even if no one was watching. We were part of the collective, and I know many groups who were engaged in some other thing that day, and they took time to pause, to pray, to walk, to take a moment to participate in what was happening in the collective consciousness. And the thing that I know is that consciousness creates, and that collective consciousness is way more powerful than individual consciousness. And so I want to remind us that, as Ernest Holmes tells us over and over and over again, as you've heard me say 1,000 times, there is a power for good in this universe that is so much greater than we are, and yet it is who we are. That there is a power within each one of us, that power to choose, that power to speak, that power to stand up, that power to show up. There is something within each one of us that is greater than any power outside of us. And we have to believe that. But it requires us to be deeply steeped in our faith, deeply steeped in our spiritual practice, deeply steeped in our truth. Because the world of effect is very distracting. All the things that are coming at us want our attention. And we have to move to a space where we believe more in the invisible than we do in the visible. Because what's showing up visibly in front of us, I think for many of us, is not what we want to see in our world. The war, the destruction, the hatred, the absolute lack of humanity. That's not who we are and who we want to be. But as we see that thing rising up and becoming what appears to be so powerful, it's not powerful, it's inflated. As we see that thing inflating itself in front of us, we have to remember that this is rising up to give us the contrast. This was the largest protest that has ever happened in the history of the United States on June 14th. We got another one coming up next Friday. We need to show up in greater numbers. We need to show up with greater purpose, with louder voices. This is our moment. We caught the energy. We now need to sustain this wave. We need to continue to participate. And so wherever you are, whatever you are doing on July 4th, remember that that day is to celebrate our freedom, our independence from kings, right? To remember that there is no power over us, that one of the values that we claim in this nation is our freedom and our independence, to be, to choose, to live, to be happy, to seek life on our own terms. I'm not letting that go. And I know none of us are. That we're going to claim our power. And that these opportunities are showing up in front of us, the opportunity for us to live into our values. We say we believe in oneness. We say we stand for freedom. We say we stand for justice and inclusion and all these beautiful words. And they're wonderful, beautiful words, and they're powerful concepts and ideas, but until we actually do something with them, they're just words and ideas. And it's really easy to be comfortable and say that we are for the good. It's a whole nother thing to get out of our comfort zone and to show up and be the change we want to see. That takes action. That takes courage. That takes a strength that we're not going to find individually, that exists in the web of our community, in our interconnectedness. I like to celebrate the 4th of July not as Independence Day, but Interdependence Day. It's a day where we remember that we are interdependent with one another, with the web of life, that no one of us are separate, that we are all connected, that anything we do to the other, we do to ourselves. Let us remember that we are one human family, that no human-drawn borders can deny that truth, that we are one people. You know, it was Jesus, I think, who said faith without works is dead. Ernest Holmes tells us to treat, to pray, and then to move our feet, to get into the action and the doing. We can't just do one or the other. We can't just sit in the goodness and the ideas and then do nothing with it. But it's also the same on the other side. We can't just run out into the streets and protest. We can't just be in the fight without having a grounding cord, without having a vision that's calling us. If we're only fighting against and we're not grounded in principle and oneness and truth and in love, then we are just participating in more of the chaos, more of the against energy, right? And so we have to realize that this moment is inviting us into a dream, and that dream is not as far away as we might believe it is. I know in my own life, almost every time I've come against some great calamity, some great tragedy in my life, every time I've been seeking something and it seems like the path is going the wrong way, it's the moment when I feel like I'm the farthest away that I'm actually just a few steps more. And you climb that mountain and you're so tired and it's just a little bit longer to the vista point you're trying to get to, and you have to push through that last little bit. It's oftentimes when we're most exhausted and when the vision seems the furthest away that we just need to push a little further and we'll be there. And so let's not be discouraged by any of the pushback, by any of that which is coming at us, by any of the field of distractions. Let it not distract or discourage you. Remember that we come into this place to be in community with each other, to be reminded of our truth, to be reminded of our collective power, to be reminded of the more of us. We say each week in all of the centers for spiritual living around the world, our vision is a world that works for everyone. And there are times when I feel like we couldn't be further away from that vision. And yet I realize that everything that's rising up is calling that vision forward in a more potent and vibrant way than ever before. The reason we're so worked up, the reason we feel so much fear and resistance and anger is because the vision is waking up. The old structures are cracking and crumbling. All that's happening that we don't want is telling us what we do want. Have you ever been in a moment in your life where you've gotten really clear about something you don't want, whether it's in a relationship or a job or something that you've been experiencing, and you experience the absolute epitome of what you don't want, and realize how clear you get about what you really do want from that experience? So let's claim that that's what's going on, that for all of us right now, we are getting so clear about what we don't want that we now have a mental equivalent of what we do want. And so we use that as our invitation. We use that as our creative opportunity. And it requires each one of us to show up in our own way. Every single one of us has a piece of this vision. Every single one of us has a passion, has a love, has a skill, has a way of being that is part of what's needed for this new world. I like to say every one of us has been given a piece of the puzzle. No one's been given the picture on the box. And we have to keep working with each other to see how those pieces fit together. And the more that we organize, the more that we work together, the more that we build coalitions and community networks, the more the vision starts to come together. And we just build it piece by piece. And then it can become more clear. And then the clearer the vision, then the more fuel we have, the more inspiration we have to move towards it. Right? We've all heard probably Michael Beckwith's great little phrase, we're either pushed by the pain or pulled by the vision. And sometimes we're pushed by the pain until we're pulled by the vision. Right? It's not either or. Maybe it's a process. And there's been a lot of pushed by pain, but it's pushing us towards the ledge. It's pushing us towards the edge. And the more it pushes us, we can start to then get far enough away from where we were that we can start to see where we're going. And I realized that about our beloved community. And, as we left our building on Felt Street in November, and we spent, 6-8 months at 418 Project, and now we're here. And I had this realization a little while ago that this in-between time, this last number of months, was our opportunity to get far enough away from where we were. We got pushed out of what was comfortable. And we've had this in-between time. And now we're stepping into this nice, new, bright, open space where vision can start to emerge. I'm so grateful that we have landed here in this particular moment at the Resource Center for Nonviolence. I'm so grateful for this partnership, for this overlap, because we've built this relationship with 418 Project and all the wonderful things that happened over there while we were in our time there, and we have relationships and connections. And now we're here, and we're building new relationships and connections. We're building communities of overlapping communities, remembering that we're not one group over here working for justice and one group over here working for justice and one group. No, we're all working for the same vision. And the big thing that's emerged for me in my time away as I've been traveling, and we've been in the beautiful swirl of getting married, in my meditations, I've had this realization that Center for Spiritual Living Santa Cruz used to be a church over there in that neighborhood, a noun. We're becoming a verb. We used to be a place, a location where stuff happened. And now we're a people who are being invited to show up, to step out, to build relationships, to work with other communities, to show up at the things that are happening in our greater community. Perhaps we are no longer a what and a where, and now a do, a be, and a how. And that's the new vision that's emerging for me. The question that I'm starting to ask is, what does it mean for a spiritual community to be a verb? What does it mean for us to be a people who are active, who are participatory, who are showing up? What does it mean to take our spirituality to the streets, to show up where the people are and no longer wait for them to walk through our doors? And so perhaps we're being invited towards something. And it took a little while of walking through that dark hallway down into the chrysalis-y cocoon of 418 Project Movie Theater for 8 months going, what's next? For us to birth the next thing. That could have been, we can use that as our little chrysalis time. We had to go into the dark cave to sit for a while. And now we're stepping into the light with a new perspective. So breathe in and let it go. We're living through a potent moment of transformation. And it's happening for us. There is a new vision of who we can be individually, as a community, as a nation, as a world. There is a new vision being born. We are shedding all of the old structures, all of the old powers, all of the old stories. All of it has to fall away. And in the empty space and in the void, newness, inspiration, vision, possibility. And it's calling us. It's calling us deeper, and it's also calling us out. That it's time to stand up. It's time to show up. It's time to be spiritually activated people as a verb. Spirituality in action. A community that says yes to possibility and then acts upon it. So breathe again. And if you will, let it go. If it's comfortable for you, close your eyes and take another deep breath. As we breathe together, as we draw our attention inward, I invite us to remember that we are being breathed by something greater than ourselves. The truth that I know is that there is one power, one presence, one infinite being who is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe. That this one life, this one mind, this one creative source that I call God, that some may call the ground of being or energy or consciousness itself. What I know is that there is a field of oneness, a seamless presence that connects all things. That there is no one and no thing that is separate from this oneness. That we are so deeply interconnected, each one of us and all of us, to the earth life, to the beating heart of humanity. Because I know that in this chaos, in the pain, and in the push-pull that's unfolding in the world around us, our hearts are cracking open. And so we breathe. As we remember that there's so much more to life, there's so much more to who we are than we can see, and that the world of effect is simply a result of thought, of collective focus, and that we have that power within us to change our thinking, to change our focus, to come together as a collective consciousness and call forth a new vision, to stand up for new possibilities, to say yes to justice, to say yes to diversity, to say yes to inclusion, to say yes to freedom, to say yes to life itself. To be a life-affirming people, to be a love-affirming people. This is who we are called to be. This is our very moment. Centers for Spiritual Living for 20 years has been saying our vision is a world that works for everyone. Well, guess what? The doorway is in front of us. And we need to walk from this world into a world that works. This is our moment, this is our time, this is our opportunity, this is our calling to show up for the moment, to say yes to what is in front of us, to be open to the more. And so as we breathe together, as we remember our power, as we remember our truth, as we remember our spiritual magnificence, we are reminded that it's our participation that is required. And that each one of us is part of a greater collective consciousness. And there is a wave, there is a movement of consciousness taking place in this nation and in this world that is saying no to what was, that is saying no to these inflated powers that are rising up. We are pulling our attention and we are no longer feeding them because we are saying yes to a vision. We are saying yes to a world that works. We are saying yes to a world that holds love, that holds connection, that holds empathy as a power. That our love is not weakness, our love is our strength. And I know that there is no power in this universe that is greater than love. For I believe that love is gravity, the very source that draws all things towards the center. And so let us come together with a vision so powerful, with a love so potent, that we draw all things towards us that are like that love and like that vision. That we build networks of possibility and mutual support. So that we can breathe ever deeper into each and every moment with gratitude for that life that is living us, for that vision that is calling us, for the something more that is inviting us forward. We say yes to it. I am so grateful for this beloved community. I'm so grateful for this new space, for these new relationships and partnerships that are opening up. I am so grateful that the collective consciousness is rising up and that we get to be part of this moment in history. We get to be the architects of the future. And when the future generations look back, let us be remembered as good ancestors. Let us be remembered as the ones who said, no, no longer. Let us be the ones who are remembered for making the change necessary to build a future in a world that works for everyone. And so let us breathe again, remembering that we're being breathed, that there's a power for good that is greater than we are, that moves through us, that acts as us. This is our moment. And so I surrender to what is, to stop resisting and say yes to the call. The more of us is calling us. The future is calling us. Our healing is calling us. And we say yes to it. And so in gratitude, I'm so grateful for who we are becoming, for this community, for this space, for this place. I'm grateful. And so I let it be, knowing that there is perfection right here. And so it is.